The order of business for the plenary. Item 9, reports by committees and commissions of the Assembly and the action thereon. Approval of the report from the Executive Committee on Agenda Item 10 that we have just gone through. We will now go to Item 8, statements by delegation of member states. This morning, we have a total of 20 states to make statements. The list of the states to make statements has already been distributed to all member states. And I wish to remind that please be brief. 5 minutes is allocated to each of the member states to make a statement. And I will start off with Nepal, and then we go to Netherlands, Japan, Congo. Nepal, you have the floor, please.
Everyone, Mr. President of the Assembly, Mr. President of the Council, Madam Secretary General, dignitaries, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On this auspicious occasion of 39th Assembly session, on behalf of Nepali delegation, I would like to extend my warm felicitations to you, Mr. President, and to all dignitaries, distinguished delegates from the contracting state and international organization. ICAO is serving as the common platform of its 191 member states for the last more than 7 decades to promote the safety, security, and efficiency in international civil aviation. And the Assembly session is an important occasion where member states and international aviation community actively engage to discuss the contemporary issue of civil aviation and formulate necessary policy guidance on the matter of civil aviation. So, I feel much honored to represent Federal Republic of Nepal in this Global Aviation Forum. Nepal is the Himalayan nation, renowned for its natural beauty, amazing flora and fauna, rich cultural and historical heritage, and many more. Tourism is a high potential area that can play a significant role in the socio-economic development of the country. As a landlocked nation, air transportation is the only means to link the country to the outside world. Similarly, due to topographical constraints, a well-managed air transportation system is indispensable for the people living in remote areas of mountainous region to travel other parts of the country and airlift supply of essential goods and commodities. Mr. President, despite of the challenging topography and associated constraints, Nepal is striving hard to ensure the safe and reliable air transport services to the people living in remote places of mountainous region. To overcome the constraints of the only one international airport, 2 other international airport development projects are now underway. Among the 30 domestic airports in the country, 21 are of stall types airports, and many of them are situated at the elevation ranging from 8,000 feet to 10,000 feet above mean sea level. Runway pavement and associated infrastructure development works have already been completed in most of these airfields. A new monopole secondary surveillance radar project under the assistance of government of Japan has been completed, which will extend surveillance footprint to larger portion of Nepalese airspace. Nepal has accomplished a lot of work to address the deficiencies identified during ICVM in July 2013. The recent data reveals that Nepal is very close to global average in terms of effective implementation of ICAO safety standards. I believe that the forthcoming ICVM, the level of EIs will be increased significantly and safety issues raised by ICAO will be addressed. Here, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to ICAO, APAC Office, and COSCAP South Asia Program for their continuous support and guidance to Nepal through various technical assistance missions during these 3 years. Mr. President, I would like to acknowledge the contribution made by ICAO to Nepal in the areas of aviation infrastructure development, commissioning of necessary communication and navigation aid facilities, air transport support, technical manpower development, and aviation documentation under its technical cooperation program during the period of late 70s to 80s. Nepal highly appreciates the ICAO efforts to assist states in implementing ICAO standards and recommendation practices through its No Country Left Behind initiative. I believe that the ongoing technical assistance project through ICAO SAFE Fund will be very supportive to strengthen the safety oversight capability of Nepal. With these words, I wish this Assembly all success in its endeavor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nepal. We'll now go to the Netherlands.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank ICAO for inviting me to speak on this special occasion. This, the 39th session of the Assembly, has the potential to make aviation history. This week, we will have the chance to take new and essential steps in making global aviation even safer and even more sustainable. As I stand here before you, I'm reminded of that day in Paris last year. The day on which 196 countries reached across their borders to join hands in an international climate agreement. An unforgettable and inspiring moment. A moment that gave the world hope. Paris was a turning point. The agreement doesn't contain specific targets for the international aviation industry, but it does expressly call on us to shoulder our responsibility. International aviation can make a key contribution to the Paris efforts. It is one of the fastest growing sectors in the world, and emissions will rise considerably. The target we agreed at the last session was a big one. Achieving climate neutral growth from 2020 is a massive challenge. It will take more than technology, biofuel, and better infrastructure to reach that goal. We know that a global system of general market-based measures is the most effective answer. We have the know-how, we have the facts, and we're aware that these measures are needed. And it's not only us, ICAO member states. The industry itself is also ready to take a firm step forwards. And the issue of climate measures is now on the Assembly's agenda for the 4th time. So it's high time we took action. The Netherlands applauds the steps that ICAO has already taken. A lot of hard work has gone into creating a draft resolution. A proposal is in place for introducing a global system. And we have a unique opportunity to make aviation cleaner. The Netherlands calls on the Assembly to adopt a resolution that will lead to general market-based measures. The aim is to substantially reduce carbon emissions in international aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big responsibility. So let's take that responsibility. The time is ripe. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of aviation depends on more than just sustainability. It depends on safety and security too. In fact, safety and security are the mainspring of ICAO. And when it comes to flying over conflict zones, the Netherlands has high expectations for this session. Expectations that are colored by emotion. Because of the events of 17 July 2014 still feel like they happened only yesterday. It was on that day that the Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 was shot down, taking the lives of all 298 passengers and crew on board, none of whom had anything to do with the conflict down below. The world was in shock. The international aviation industry pulled out all the stops to ensure this could never happen again. That was over 2 years ago. The Dutch Safety Board has investigated the crash together with its international partners. It's presented its findings on 13 October 2015, addressing important recommendations to ICAO. As I said, the Netherlands highly values the steps that ICAO has taken, even before the Safety Board issued its recommendations. But an extra step is needed to put those recommendations into practice. There are dozens of conflict zones around the world. Every day, hundreds of thousands of people travel by air. They assume that their route is safe and that they won't be exposed to unnecessary risks. My message is this: let's shoulder our responsibility. Let's improve the way we assess risks to civil aircraft flying over conflict zones. And let's improve the way we share that information with each other. Along with 45 other countries, in Working Paper 108, the Netherlands has made concrete proposals on how to take that necessary extra step. We have no time to waste. Let's give ICAO all the scope it needs to improve information sharing. Let's take responsibility as the international aviation community and make sure that flying remains the safest way to travel. I thank you very much.
Thank you, the Netherlands. Next, Japan.
Good morning. Mr. Azadin Abdul Rahman, President of the 39th Assembly of ICAO, Dr. Olmuis Bernard Ariel, President of the Council of ICAO, Dr. Fan Liu, Secretary General of ICAO, distinguished delegates and observers, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to make a brief statement on behalf of the Japanese government before this ICAO Assembly. I wish to start by expressing my deepest appreciation to the President of Council, Dr. Ariel, for his excellent leadership, and my sincere regards also go to the Secretariat for their effort in driving forward the ICAO initiatives. I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm Japan's full support to ICAO for its vision on the activity toward achieving the sustainable growth of the global civil aviation system by developing standards and recommendations in such fields as safety and security, air navigation, and environmental protection, focusing on the concept of the no country left behind. Of all those important issues, I would like to highlight several points on which Japan has placed its highest priority. Firstly, I would like to take up that environmental issue. Japan recognizes that tackling climate change is one of the highest priority of the international community. Japan appreciates the enormous effort made by ICAO on this issue with its strong leadership. I understand that a number of meetings were held during the past 3 years, and discussions are conducted from the different perspectives toward the development of the GMBM scale. And Japan has made active contribution in advancing the deliberations through participation in all these meetings. I firmly believe that the fruitful agreement among all the member states regarding the GMBM is critical. I also feel that the participation in this scheme by as many member states as possible is extremely important. Japan has already expressed its intent to voluntarily participate in this scheme for the beginning and sincerely expect each of the member states to do so. Japan recognizes that this agreement manifests the strongest commitment that we, the aviation community, have made to address this global issue and ICAO's leadership. Secondly, I would like to refer to aviation safety. During the next 3 years, Global Aviation Safety Plan, GASP, will advance the next term. Japan is already more actively contribute to the successful implementation of GASP, making the most use of our knowledge and experience gained through the activities in Japan according to state safety program. With regard to aviation security, Japan continues to actively contribute to the development of Global Aviation Security Plan so that the global harmonious reinforcement of aviation security protocol can be accomplished. Next, with regard to the issue of the air navigation, modernization, and global harmonization have been promoted based on Global Air Navigation Plan, GAMP. Japan has been actively addressing research and development based on its national strategy called CALAS, a collaborative action for renovation of air traffic system, and is trying to make continuous contribution to effective implementation of GAMP. Mr. President, I would like to briefly mention about international cooperation. Japan has been dispatching the experts to 7 countries in the Asia and the Pacific region to support the formulation of safety audit system and the establishment of training scheme of the cultivate human resources for air navigation service. In addition, Japan has become the first country to provide funds to Aviation Safety Implementation Assistance Partner Program and the Safety Fund. I would like to reaffirm that Japan continues to contribute to the further development of the international civil aviation by meeting the regional specific needs. Last but not least, I would like to emphasize that the ICAO should give importance to carrying out its multiple obligations in the most effective and efficient manner. Under the constraints of the budget and the human resources. On the other hand, with the increase of importance and the complication of the issues addressed by ICAO, I would like to point out the importance of securing skilled and higher capable human resources for placing them in the right place regardless of his and her academic acquirement. I hope this session of assembly will turn out to be a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. We next go to Congo.
Mr. President of the Council of ICAO, ladies and gentlemen, ministers, Madam Secretary General of ICAO, dear colleagues, delegates of member states of ICAO, and representatives of international organizations here in Montreal, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Mr. Abdou Alan on his election to the chair of this, the 39th ICAO Assembly. On behalf of His Excellency, Mr. Nguesso, and the President and the Republic of Congo, to welcome all the participants to this assembly, an assembly which will lead, to our mind, to a strengthening of cooperation as established by ICAO. I have the honor to take the floor here at this August Assembly and to provide you with a general overview of the activities of the Congo in terms of civil aviation. Here I'm addressing the President, Dr. Aliou, and I would like to also give you an idea of the progress made in civil aviation in the Republic of Congo, as well as share with you our vision as regards air transport. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last few decades, air transport has shown considerable growth. There have been a number of major challenges which are specific to the vision of ICAO in this field, namely that we have to provide for safety, the highest level of safety, we have to fight against pollution, and we have to promote the development of the sector under the slogan, "No country left behind." As regards cooperation, it is worthwhile recalling that improvements in coordination between the various entities and regional offices of ICAO has greatly favored ongoing technical assistance. And this was what leads me to applaud the contributions of the Chicago Convention to peace and prosperity in the world. And this is due to the safe and orderly development of civil aviation. As regards safety, the standards and other measures of ICAO have been strengthened, and their implementation, strict implementation in compliance with international standards, continues to pose a serious concern to the majority of states. Furthermore, many actions have been taken to safeguard the rights of cabin crew and those of passengers by helping with facilitation and simplifying travel. As regards to economic and social impact, civil aviation contributes to the realization of a large number of objectives by encouraging the development of activities which will reduce poverty and preserve the environment. The Congo is a part of the 14 states of Africa and the Caribbean who have decided to participate in a project related to the development of an action plan. And this all relates to deforestation and environmental protection. And it's linked to the strengthening of capacity to reduce CO2 emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Congo has taken the following actions. First of all, it has adopted a new Civil Aviation Code of CMAC in July of 2012. It had reorganized the Civil Aviation National Agency, which has allowed for the upgrading of its global organization by separating the regulatory functions from the operational functions. The publication of new aeronautical regulations in the Congo is now based on ICAO standards. We have also adopted a new regulatory framework applicable to civil aviation safety, in particular the Civil Aviation National Safety Program, as well as the National Quality Control Civil Aviation Program and the National Safety Training Program. We also have committed ourselves to continental programs with 13 other African states, and this reflects the single transport vision and will be implemented as of 2017. This signature of this new agreement represents our strong commitment to the strengthening of technical cooperation with other bilateral and multilateral partners in the various fields of civil aviation. We also have developed various airport infrastructures by inputting over $1 billion, which have been invested in or put towards the modernization of a number of major airports, Brazzaville, Pointe-Noire, Olombo, and Ouasso. And now we have increased the number of passengers for 2014 to 15 by 4 million passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important to point out that considerable efforts have been made in our country in order to comply with the requirements of ICAO, as is reflected by the constant attention paid by the Republic of Congo in the field of civil aviation in the various stages of development. Then finally, with regard to compliance with international standards, the vision of the Congolese government can be explained as follows. Aviation safety today, aviation safety tomorrow, aviation safety always. It is therefore, in the light of this vision, that the management of safety and security in civil aviation is of the highest priority. Also, our government is committed to develop and make sure that all aeronautical activities under its supervision are at the highest level of performance in compliance with national regulations and meet international standards in matters of safety and security. We also focus on the development of international cooperation, translated by capacity strengthening, this hand in hand with the Technical Assistance Bureau of ICAO, as well as the Civil Aviation African Commission, YASA, and the Civil Aviation Safety Oversight Agency. This international cooperation is aimed, amongst others, at, first of all, ab initio training of technical aviation personnel, the qualification of inspectors in civil aviation, the certification of Congolese air operators, and the development of community-based regulations for the countries in Central Africa, as well as the implementation of a quality system. Ladies and gentlemen, the Congo attaches great importance to the multifaceted assistance provided by ICAO via its Technical Cooperation Bureau in the whole process of air operator certification. Furthermore, the Congo would like to promote and maintain the best possible relations with other partners of industry with a view to improving the civil aviation system and training qualified staff. I'd like to here stress the support of many of our partners. First of all, ICAO and YASA in terms of implementation of the Central African Safety Oversight Agency. Then secondly, the Air Navigation Safety Agency in Africa and in Madagascar, which places at the disposal of its member states the human and financial resources under the framework of the audit systems of ICAO. Similarly, we also would like to applaud the action of AFCAC as an implementing agency in the execution of the Yamoussoukro decision dealing with the liberalization of air traffic in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like the Congo to invite to Brazzaville all of you to participate in the 6th meeting of the DGCA, which will take place from 2 to 4 November. I cannot conclude without thanking you for all the support which you will give us here in the Congo, as well as other African states which have been nominated or are presenting their candidatures to the Part 3 of the ICAO Council. Then finally, on behalf of the Republic of Congo, I would like to express our sincere thanks to the Government of Canada and its citizens for its legendary hospitality and express our thanks to ICAO for their highly laudable efforts that it continues to place in order to ensure that the world is safe for air travel. I bid you success. Long live ICAO, long live international cooperation.
Merci beaucoup, Republic of Congo. Next, we have Thailand, and after that will be Indonesia and Cape Verde. Thailand, please.
President, Madam Secretary General, Your Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to address the 39th session of the ICAO Assembly today. As the head of delegation of the Kingdom of Thailand, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the Government of Canada, the President of the Council, and the Secretary General for a very warm hospitality. I'm really delighted with the friendly atmosphere among all member states and participants gathering here to show our further commitment and efforts to strengthening and promoting the sustainable growth of the global civil aviation system, as stated in the organization's vision. Civil aviation plays a crucial part in the economic and social development of Thailand. Today, the air transport industry in Thailand is growing more rapidly than original planned. This is due to the number of tourists and travelers coming to Thailand. Also, as part of global supply chains, large volumes of cargoes and parcels are using Thailand as a distribution center. These developments reflect the advantages of having a good infrastructure, highly qualified people, and safety practices that meet international standards and recommended practices. We also have our challenges. The challenges is to resolve a significant safety concern, or SSC, related to the Air Operator Certificate, or AOCs, and recover US FAA Category 1. The Thai government is fully committed to addressing these challenges. We have already restructured our safety oversight arrangement by separating the regulator from the service provider and greatly strengthened the safety and reliability of Thailand's airline industry. The corrective actions plans, fully addressed by the ICAO, will lead to resolve the SSC within the next 12 months. To this end, Thailand also aims to achieve an effective implementation of ICAO standards and recommended practices above 60% and have a fully capable safety oversight system in place. Mr. President, for the medium to long-term sustainability plan, the newly established CAAT would enhance its overall safety oversight capacity. New staff have been recruited to ensure technical and operational sufficiency and be commensurate with Thailand's activity scale, as well as improve competency at the highest standards. The comprehensive training programs have been already developed and all staff have been fully trained. The new Civil Aviation Act is now also being drafted using the ICAO model primary legislation, with provision of mechanism to allow speedy legislative process of ICAO SARPS adoption. In order to support the global efforts in reducing emissions from international air transport, Thailand is encouraging all member states to support the Global Market-Based Mechanism, or GMBM. In this regard, Thailand is fully committed to join on the basis of voluntary participation for its pilot phase in 2021. And as aviation security is one of the most vital elements of the international civil aviation system, Thailand is now preparing for ICAO Universal Security Audit Programs, or USAF, next year. Finally, I would like to highlight that Thailand strongly supports member states to ratify the 1999 Montreal Convention. We are now promulgating a national law to implement this convention. Immediately after it enters into force, Thailand will submit the instrument of accession to ICAO, expected within the first quarter of next year. Mr. President, on this occasion, Thailand would like to express its appreciation to ICAO, both to the headquarters in Montreal and the regional office in Bangkok, along with the EU, EASA, FAA, Japan, and all friends and partners who have worked with and supported us. We are delighted to be a part of the international aviation community and strongly believe that friendship and cooperation among us will become ever stronger in the years ahead. The SSSC has been catalyst for creating and enhancing the safety oversight system in Thailand. And for this, we are grateful. Please be assured that Thailand's aviation system will come back and is ready to roll in the near future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Thailand. Next, we go to Indonesia. Indonesia, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President of IQ Council, Madam Secretary General of IQ, Minister and Head of Delegation, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, on behalf of the Government of Republic of Indonesia, to express our sincere appreciation to Governor of Canada from warm humility. I would like to congratulate the President of the IQ Council and the Madam Secretary General for the excellent work in preparing the 39th Assembly meeting of IQ. I would like to congratulate to Dato' Abdurrahman for your appointment as the chair of the important assembly. We are convinced that under your leadership and wisdom, our meeting will generate a fruitful result. Mr. President, Indonesian civil aviation industry is growing rapidly. Our records show that there are more than 2,000 flight movements every single day between our 270 airports. To support positive development, we continue to increase the level of safety, security of our airlines and airports, as well as modernization, Indonesian air navigation service, who also intensive to the reform of the Indonesian Civil Aviation Office and other related institutions. By doing so, Indonesian Aviation Regulator is able to enhance its service for civil aviation operation in Indonesia. Through all this effort, Indonesia accomplished 5 remarkable achievements that these last 2 years, namely, 1, the FAA decided to promote Indonesia into Category 1 rating on the flight safety standard. This is recognized of our achievement to comply with IQ aviation safety standard. Our national airline is now taking steps to resume their flight to the US. 2, the European Aviation Authority has also lifted its flight ban for more Indonesian airlines. 3, by the end of 2015, Indonesia already fulfilled 95% of ICAO standard of security. 4, from the 2014, Garuda Indonesia our national carrier consistently awarded as a 5-star island. It's a global partner, and this year, Garuda received Indonesian International Award as the best economy class airline and rated as a world top 10 airline. It means that Indonesia has succeeded to provide a high standard of aviation service and to increase its global competitiveness. 5, in the early 2060, Indonesia was accepted as a member of Committee of Aviation Environmental Protection and actively participate in negotiation of global market-based measure scheme to reduce carbon emission. In this connection, Indonesia tried to work closely with other countries in IQ to ensure the successful negotiation of the global MBM. Mr. President, Indonesian achievement in aviation safety and security standard, as well as on aviation environmental protection, has made us more confident to run our candidacy to membership of the Council IQ for period 2016 to 2019. We believe that by joining IQ Council, we will be a better position to share our experience in meeting safety and security standards, bearing in mind that Indonesia is the largest populated country in the world. As developing country member of IQ, we actively support the international capacity building program, particularly IQ program of No Country Left Behind. In this regard, at the last 2 years, we have made voluntary financial contribution in amount of $150,000 to support implementation of comprehensive IQ regular implementation plan for aviation safety in Africa, AFIP plan. And Indonesia government is planning to continue supporting AFIP plan in the year to come. In March this year, we successfully organized Transportation Minister meeting in Bali to discuss partnership on capacity building on civil aviation. Through this meeting, Indonesia offered technical assistance in Indonesian various training institutions. Considering the benefit of this program to Indonesia in developing country partner, the government of Indonesia is considering to host ministerial meeting again for the future. Mr. Chairman, finally, I wish to mention that before I assumed my job as Minister of Transport of the Republic of Indonesia, I was the CEO of the Indonesian state-owned enterprise, the management airport, including international airport, in our capital city, Jakarta. Having said that, rest assured that if Indonesia is elected as ICAO member council, I myself will assure that Indonesian delegation will contribute positively to work of ICAO for better aviation, safety, security, service, and environment protection. Therefore, I sincerely request your support to Indonesian candidacy during a coming election of the Part 3 of IQ Council member for the period 2016-2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. Now we go to Cabo Verde, and then Senegal and Algeria. Cabo Verde, please.
Monsieur le Président de l'Assemblée, Monsieur le Président du Conseil
of the Assembly,
général,
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, On behalf of the government of Cabo Verde and the delegation accompanying me, I would like to warmly welcome all the delegates and representatives of member states here in the International Civil Aviation Organization here present. And I would like to thank the organization for providing me with this opportunity to very briefly share with you the progress made in our country as it applies to the socioeconomic development of Cape Verde. Cape Verde, a state member of ICAO as of 1976, has followed the development of civil aviation in the world, which has contributed to the consolidation and sustainable development. Civil aviation in our country continues to make progress and is firmly committed to the standards and recommended practices of the organization and tries on a continuous basis to improve its response capacity in the most critical fields which are gaining importance in the world in terms of global economy. Our country has actively participated in the planned international activities and in the implementation of the exemplary international practices on the ground with a view to ensuring that the levels of safety and security promoted by the Chicago Convention are complied with. Cape Verde has had excellent results following the cyclic safety and security audits carried out by ICAO under the USOAP program, CMA, and USAP, CMA, and it continues to work in order to improve on these results. Our country has also made significant efforts in order to achieve the general objectives laid down in the GASP, the Global Aviation Safety Program. Similarly, Cape Verde plans to consolidate its aeronautical regulatory system in order to comply with the requirements of the ICAO annexes. It also plans to establish and consolidate its SSPs. It plans to implement the program for promoting safety according to the Global Aviation Safety Roadmap methodology. As a member of AFCAC, the African Civil Aviation Commission, we play an active part in the regional and sub-regional activities, thus contributing to the enhancement and growth of civil aviation in Africa, having almost attained the Abuja safety objectives, which were established for the AFI region. At the regional level as well, Cape Verde was one of the main drivers in the process of liberalization of air transport with the implementation of the decision of Yamoussoukro and the liberalization of market access to air transport in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is also committed to cooperation with adjacent states, friendly states, in particular with the members of ECOWAS in the fields of capacity strengthening, oversight, which will contribute to a more safe, efficient, and sustainable air transport. As regards safety, allow me here to highlight the initiative of regional cooperation, namely the creation within the Banjul Group Accord of two important agencies. First of all, Bagasso, which is the Banjul Accord Group Safety Oversight Organization, and Bagaya, the Banjul Accord Group Accident Investigation Agency. Within the field of air transport economic regulations, we are very committed to the implementation, the effective implementation of the Yamoussoukro decision dealing with liberalization of air transport in Africa. The legal framework in place in our country favors investment with a view to the promotion of the air service agreements based on a liberal approach while strengthening trade relations with other states. Ladies and gentlemen, in spite of the various constraints facing Cape Verde, Cape Verde has made significant progress in the fields of safety and security and economic regulation. That said, Cape Verde, since it is only an island archipelagical country and economically fragile, it must continue to improve on its air transport system with a view to ensure the connectivity and mobility of its citizens while ensuring national cohesiveness and economic development. We feel that ICAO member states, in particular within our African continent and the ECOWAS sub-region, still face significant challenges and growing challenges. There is a lack of sufficient human resources to efficiently manage civil aviation. In particular, we lack qualified training centers which would be accessible. And we still lack adequate response to the whole area of aviation medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, Cape Verde is convinced that it can provide an important contribution to the civil aviation system in the light of its experience in the AFI region, in particular in the ECOWAS sub-region. This is why the Republic of Cape Verde, as a member of ICAO, member state of ICAO, has decided for the first time to present its candidature to the Council of ICAO under Part 3, and it is supported by AFCAC. This candidature reflects the importance and contribution of the state of Cape Verde to the safe, efficient, reliable, and sustainable development of international civil aviation. In spite of being a rather small landlocked country and with limited resources, Cape Verde intends to show with this commitment that it is willing to apply all its efforts to apply the standards and recommended practice, thus contributing to the regional and world safety and security civil aviation objectives being met, as well as promoting economic growth of all its member states. Cape Verde will thus be fully in compliance with the noble principle of no country left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my government, I would like to thank you for placing your trust in us. In conclusion, I bid you success, and I hope that the 39th Assembly of the International Civil Aviation Organization will be crowned with success. Ladies and gentlemen, delegates, thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Cape Verde. Merci beaucoup. Next, we go to Senegal.
Monsieur le Président de Dear Chair of the ICAO Assembly, President of the Council of ICAO, Madam Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, delegations representing member states, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective positions, it's with a great deal of pride that I'm taking the floor on behalf of the President of the Republic of Senegal, His Excellency Mr. Macky Sall, and all of the people of Senegal on the opportunity the occasion of the 39th Assembly of the International Civil Aviation Organization. And for me, it's a real pleasure to work together with the global aviation family in developing general guidance that will govern the actions of the organization for the next 3 years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not exaggerating to state that ICAO stands out as one of the best models of international cooperation, in that over the years, ICAO has been able to develop a sustainable development mechanism for global civil aviation while respecting the sovereignty and the interests of all of its member states. Thus, I'm happy to take this opportunity to pay tribute to all of the leaders who have been at the head of ICAO since it was set up, in spite of economic difficulties and different events which at times have had an impact on the development of civil aviation, in particular epidemic outbreaks, threats from terrorists. The trends in the world are promising and full of hope. Turning now to the African continent, the market share in global traffic has to increase. We will manage to do this if we are able to concentrate on our core business, namely safety, security, and the implementation of an optimal development of policies around air services. Senegal is very much committed to going down this path. Our ambition today is to make our contribution to the development of international civil aviation and to really step this up in terms of traffic and also in terms of the quality of the services provided to users. President, ladies and gentlemen, having held a seat in the ICAO Council without any break between 1968 and 2004, Senegal continues to make its contributions to ICAO, and today it is host for several headquarters of organizations such as the ICAO Regional Office for Western and Central Africa, AFCAC, the IATA Office for Western Africa, and also ASECNA, which contributes in an efficient way to managing air navigation safety in the African Indian Ocean region, covering an airspace of more than 16 million square kilometers. In order to maintain this level of contribution and to raise its system to the ranks of countries that are in compliance with international standards, Senegal has undertaken various significant actions. There's a new civil aviation code which takes account of all of the recommendations made during the ICAO audits. This has been adopted, as well as a new oversight safety framework and aeronautical regulations which are in compliance with international requirements. Thus, as we await the audit planned for 2017, the audits of the oversight system carried out by ICAO have credited Senegal with an effective implementation rate of 64.61%. Within the framework of improving our aviation infrastructure, there is a new airport that is being built which meets all of the international standard, and it is being named the International Airport Blaise Diagne. It is planned to be up and running before the end of the year 2017. Moreover, there's also a significant modernization program which is underway in order to upgrade the secondary aerodromes that are open to international traffic. That is all underway. Moreover, Senegal has also just launched the creation of a new airline company named Air Senegal SA, and the ambition is for this to become a leading company within Africa. Also, in order to ensure quality of human resources and a good level of maintenance and monitoring of aviation equipment, we are working to set up a training centre in Dakar and also to develop an international maintenance centre on the site of the new airport. This is the right time for me to make an appeal to the international community to support the implementation of these significant importance that are extremely significant for us. Senegal is also very interested in search and rescue services. In this respect, several draft agreements have been started in order to considerably improve the SAR services in the southern part of the Atlantic. Please allow me to thank ICAO and countries that have helped us, such as France and Spain. Thank you for their constant support in the implementation of this service, which requires significant human and material means. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living on a planet where distances are continually getting shorter with the development of aviation. Thus, it is necessary to form synergies in the effort that we undertake to meet the strategic objectives of ICAO and its activities, which are aimed at supporting all the different regions in the world. Within this framework, I would like to welcome the initiative No Country Left Behind, which aims to reduce the gaps which still exist between the different regions in the world. It is up to us as member states, individually and also collectively, within the framework of our regional organizations, to participate in making this initiative a success. Senegal, as far as it's concerned, will continue with its efforts to support ICAO activities and the activities of all the international, continental or regional organizations which contribute to the development of international civil aviation. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot conclude without expressing, on behalf of my delegation and personally, our deep gratitude and our sincere thanks to the Government of Canada and the City of Montreal for the warm welcome that we have received and all of the kindness that they have extended to us. I would also like to congratulate the newly appointed Chair of the 39th Assembly. And I hope that we will have very successful work, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Senegal. Now we'd like to go to Algeria, and this will be the last statement before we break for morning tea. Algeria, please. Okay, if Algeria is not here, can we go to Sweden?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, Madam Secretary General, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, aviation is a catalyst for economic development and employment. ICAO therefore plays a hugely important role in the healthy development of the global aviation system. Ever since ICAO was founded more than 70 years ago, Sweden has actively contributed to the organization's work, and we will continue to do so. Tackling the challenges of aviation requires global solutions. This is why Sweden is standing for a place on the ICAO Council for the coming 3-year period. Swedish aviation and aircraft industries are highly advanced leaders in their fields. We can contribute with knowledge in areas such as technological developments and innovations. However, the most important issue ahead of us in these 2 weeks is undoubtedly the climate and the question of a global market-based measure. Sweden has taken an active part in the work on this issue, and we have actively supported the President in his efforts to reach an agreement. I would like to thank President Aliou for his work, which has enabled us to get this far. And I assure you that Sweden will do all it can to ensure that an agreement is reached during these weeks. We must not miss this opportunity to ensure that aviation too contributes to mitigating climate impacts. I feel that it would be very unfortunate if we do not capitalize on this chance together. Healthy, competitive conditions in the aviation industry are also a priority for Sweden. For us, social dialogue between employers and workers is crucial, and it generates mutual benefits. In conclusion, I would also like to highlight a further issue on the agenda, namely gender equality. It is important that a UN body such as ICAO leads by example in this area. And Sweden therefore supports the proposal to maintain an equal gender balance when filling positions in the ICAO Secretariat. This applies in particular to management positions. I would like to take this opportunity to stress the symbolic value of the appointment of ICAO's first female Secretary General. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish the other delegation all the best in the work that lies ahead of us.
Thank you, Sweden, for keeping your statement within the 5-minute period that we gave it to you. Therefore, that will be the last statement for this morning. We break for tea now. Come back at 11 o'clock, where the next statement will be from Portugal, then Colombia, then Brunei, Darussalam. This morning tea is sponsored by Spain. Thank you, Spain. And it will be held in the delegation lounge in level 3. Please enjoy your tea break and come back here at 11 o'clock sharp. Thank you.
colleagues already said. Okay. The other ones work fine, though. At least the other three.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can you be seated? Okay, we will continue with the statements from the states. We have another 11 states to make statements before we go for lunch. And I would like your cooperation. Please be seated. We would like the state of Portugal to address the assembly. Then we have Algeria. They were not here this morning. Colombia. Then Brunei, Darussalam. So can we have Portugal, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President of the Council, Madam Secretary General, she's not here.
Yes, Portugal, you may go ahead.
Yeah.
Can the technician give the mic to Portugal? And can someone please close the door or the doors? Portugal, can you go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President of the Council, distinguished delegates and observers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my delegation wants to congratulate you, Mr. President, for your election and wishes the continued success for this session of the Assembly under your leadership. Portugal participated from the beginning in the International Civil Aviation Organization, being represented in the Council of the organization in the period between 1947 and 1956, as well as during this last triennium of 2013-2016. Portugal has always worked to foster international cooperation on safety and navigation capacity and efficiency, security, economic development, and environmental protection as a member of regional groups and through ICAO's panels and technical groups, as well as on the Council. Based on a common language, historical and cultural similarities, the civil aviation authorities of Angola, Brazil, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Portugal, São Tomé e Príncipe, and East Timor established in 2007 the Community of the Civil Aviation Authorities of the Portuguese-speaking countries. In 2015, Equatorial Guinea joined the community. This community is a forum for reflection, discussion of policies, and strategic planning for the civil aviation sector, and several initiatives have taken place, namely on technical assistance and capacity building. 2 members of the community are now candidates to the Council elections during this session of the Assembly, Brazil to Part 1 and Cape Verde to Part 3. We firmly support ICAO's No Country Left Behind initiative, and in this regard, we see as important the continuous cooperation of member states with ICAO and also with other member states, and it assumes a significant importance to ensure an adequate level of competences of the civil aviation authorities. Under this initiative, Portugal developed a continuous policy on capacity building to ensure the sharing of best practices and the promotion of Annex 17 compliance in order to face the challenges of the protection of civil aviation against acts of unlawful interference. In this line, Portugal has promoted the translation of Annex 17 to Portuguese and is currently translating Annex 9 so that the ICAO SARPs are commonly harmonized and implemented. As far as facilitation is concerned, we point out the implementation of advanced technology for travel documents, the automated border controls, the cooperation with National Health Authority and all stakeholders, being Portugal a member of CAPSCA, Collaborative Arrangement for the Prevention and Management of Public Health Events in Civil Aviation. We support the last amendments to Annex 9 related to minors. Passengers with reduced mobility are also a priority with well-established national procedures, and Portugal is actively engaged in the cooperation at international level through the chairmanship of the ECAC subgroups on PRMs. Portugal is strongly supportive of the ongoing amendment to Annex 17 regarding landside security measures, as well as cybersecurity as two of the main trends and challenges in the security field, and also in the development of the global plans on security and facilitation. We have experts as members of the ICAO facilitation panel and of the TAG TRIP group as observers to the ICAO AFSEC panel and members of the working group on training. Facilitation is of the utmost importance in the field of international civil aviation, contributing to the strengthening and development of international services, promoting connectivity, and consequently the economy of states. Tourism has become one of the major players in international commerce and one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world. In Portugal, tourism represents a substantial share of GDP and contributes to the creation of direct and indirect jobs, as well as to the stability of the balance of payments and to regional development. In the last 3 years, international traffic of passengers in the Portuguese airports has grown at an average of 10%, reaching a total of 32 million pax in 2015, and is estimated to grow at an average of 7% for the years 2016 and 2017. One of the pillars of this growth is the framework of air service agreements based on the Chicago Convention that has seen since 2008 a strong support from ICAO with the setup of ICANN, providing states with a central meeting place to conduct multiple bilateral, regional, or multilateral air service negotiations or consultations. Air transport plays a fundamental role in the worldwide economy and as a sector that contributes to economic, social, and cultural well-being and development of countries. During the last decade, significant progress has been achieved in the civil aviation sector on operation and technological areas, as well as on the improvement of air traffic management and sustainable alternative fuels. However, global warming persists, unfortunately, a reality. We all recognize that those achievements will not be sufficient to mitigate the impact of the continuous growth of air traffic and their respective emissions. My delegation wants to thank the initiative of the President of the Council for the presentation of a proposal on the draft resolution that has been lengthily discussed throughout bilateral and multilateral consultations, not only at ICAO but also worldwide. Portugal has been particularly engaged in several initiatives undertaken by ICAO, participating as the member in the council groups and at the high-level meetings and the Friends of the President meeting, as well as regional level consultations. Portugal, as a member of the European Union and of the European Civil Aviation Conference, is fully committed to support ICAO efforts to achieve a consensus during this session of the Assembly on the GMBM scheme. And in this regard, we have endorsed the Bratislava Declaration to join the GMBM scheme from the start. Due to its strategic geographical location, Portugal has under its responsibility the Flight Information Region of Lisbon and the Flight Information Region of Santa Maria in the North Atlantic, constituting the latter one of the largest oceanic control areas in the North Atlantic, corresponding overall to a total area of 5,800,000 square kilometers. Taking into account the importance of this responsibility, we do participate actively on the respective planning and implementation regional groups established by the Council, and as well on appropriate subgroups in order to assure an accurate implementation of ICAO standards and recommended practices. Portugal has already established an effective ATM-INS oversight, and the Portuguese Air Navigation Service provider also implemented the appropriate safety management systems. At a regional level, our country has established agreements with the adjacent state, Spain, to coordinate oversight activities on ATM-ANS field in order to address the common implementation of safety requirements. Regarding the Global Air Navigation Plan, Portugal is committed to increase the capacity and improve the efficiency of the civil aviation system while continue to ensure the highest levels of safety. Portugal sees the performance-based navigation program implementation as of the utmost importance to contribute to reduce the global aviation congestion, to improve fuel efficiency, and to protect the environment and maintain the reliability of aircraft operations. Furthermore, since the last 2 years, Portugal has redefined its PNB implementation plan to prioritize the implementation of instrument approach procedures, required navigation performance authorization, to the most demanding airports due to terrain constraints, increasing the safety of operations and allowing less environmental impact through less fuel burn and noise emissions. In relation to other air navigation improvements, Portugal is fully engaged in its accomplishment, namely through CESAR program that is consistent with the Global Air Navigation Plan methodology. In what concerns Annex 19, State Safety Program, Portugal is working on the full implementation of the program with all entities involved at a national level, as well as with the national industry under the leadership of the Civil Aviation Authority through the establishment of committees. In the Civil Aviation Authority, the State Safety Program is being interconnected with the implementation of a new management system. This link will connect the safety structure established at the Portuguese CAA with the State Safety Program, which involves all national entities, streamlining the communication lines, coordinating actions, and training and establishing a networking which will involve all stakeholders. Mr. President, my delegation wants to stress that Portugal will continue to support the work of ICAO to promote the safe and orderly development of a sound and economically viable civil aviation system, enhance the global civil aviation safety, security, and facilitation, increase the capacity and improve the efficiency of the global civil aviation system, and minimize the adverse environmental effects of its activities. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Portugal. Now, I give the floor to Algeria.
Thank you, Mr. President. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Monsieur le Président,
Chairman, President of the Council, Madam Secretary General, Ministers, Your Excellencies, Honourable Delegates, ladies and gentlemen. President, I would like to congratulate you for being elected to this august assembly as its President. And I would very much like to thank Madam Secretary General and the President of ICAO Council. And I do not want to overlook all those who have contributed to preparing for this assembly. It is a real honour for me and a pleasure to speak before this assembly on behalf of Algeria to reaffirm our full support and our full adhesion to the fundamental objectives set by ICAO to have safe and orderly development of civil aviation. We are all searching for consensus on important safety and security matters, and also as concerns environmental protection, and we want to have sustainable development of air transport. The international community is very much aware of its collective duty and its need to shoulder its responsibilities individually and collectively within this context, which is marked by many political and economic challenges and other challenges with which we are confronted today in the world. Thus, Algeria is the constant concern to implement ICAO's SARPs, and we very much support the international program for the USAP and USOAP, and also the USAP, as I have said. And we are in favour of these being pursued and further expanded. As a result of these audits and the audits of its civil aviation system and dealing with the problems that were raised during these audits, measures have been undertaken by amending the Algerian legislation which sets the general rules related to civil aviation. This amendment, which is a very recent one, has very much underlined that our national state safety program has to be in line with what has been laid out in the ICAO legislation. And secondly, in terms of the audits and visits which are carried out by civil aviation authorities, there as well, we've covered that in our recent amendment. When it comes to adjacent airspaces and to increase safety and improve our services, and also in our national aerodromes, Algeria has launched an ambitious program for development and has undertaken large-scale projects, including the acquisition of new surveillance radar equipment and new telecommunications and help for landing aids, and also to have a control centre to cover the whole Algerian airspace, and also 5 modern blocks and air traffic control towers in our international airports, where we have a great deal of traffic in Alger, Constantine, and also in the south as well of Algeria. Given all of our experiences, Algeria very much supports the fight against all forms of terrorism at a global level and all forms of unlawful interference directed against civil aviation. Moreover, and with respect to the environment, Algeria is aware of the fact that we have to stop the damage being caused to our planet. It is necessary to have a balanced approach between the development of civil aviation and environmental quality. And we have to have consensual analysis on the impacts of the measures to be taken at a global level. As far as Algeria is concerned, the question of reducing greenhouse gas emissions has to continue to be dealt with and examined within the UNFCCC. Combating Climate Change, which is the legal and institutional framework, reference framework, within which we need to adopt any new mitigation measures for the different sectors, including the civil aviation sector. President, please allow me to take this opportunity to thank the member states of AFCAC and the Arab Civil Commission for supporting Algeria's candidacy under Part 3 of the ICAO Council, and I would like to invite other member states to support our candidacy, and I would like to thank those who have supported us. And this would allow the Maghreb region, if we're elected, to continue with our active participation in the work of the ICAO Council and to continue to make its contribution to attaining ICAO's objectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Algeria. We now give the floor to Colombia.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. President. Firstly, I would like to congratulate you on your appointment as President of the 39th Assembly. Similarly, Colombia would like to express its thanks to the Council of this organization for all the work they have carried out in the interests of the member states of this organization. We also would like to thank and congratulate the Secretary General for the progress made and the work achieved in preparing for this magnificent assembly. We would also like to extend to all the delegations here present our sincere greetings from the Colombian people and its president, Dr. Juan Manuel Santos Calderon, who is committed to international civil aviation as a powerful tool which will facilitate peace, reconciliation, and social integration. The Republic of Colombia has always been a member of the International Civil Aviation right from the start, its creation in 1944, and it has fulfilled its international obligations with the implementation and application of the 19 annexes to the Convention, while incorporating the standards and recommended practices in its legislation and national regulations. It is also committed to the audits, both in the field of security and safety, USOP and USAP. Similarly, it has signed and ratified a number of instruments of international air law under the aegis of ICAO. The Republic of Colombia has also participated in the various sessions of the Council, its subsidiary committees, in particular the meetings of air transport and technical cooperation. It has also participated in the various international high-level meetings by contributing and supporting the work of this organization. It has also served as an observer in the Air Navigation Commission. Colombia supports all the efforts of this organization, which are to ensure that its member states do not fall behind in the implementation of the standards and recommended practices of ICAO, as well as the programs and various initiatives of ICAO. Colombia offers its services to the air navigation and the large majority of aircraft which fly between North America, the Caribbean, and South America in the American hemisphere, and also supports flights between South America and Europe, Asia, and Africa in the light of its geographical location. This, as part of its commitment, it has integrated the latest high-tech level technical navigation aids for the airspace over its land areas and territorial waters. This, along with the GAMP, will make it possible for us to face the various challenges facing the growth of air traffic in our region in order to ensure enhanced efficiency in the air navigation systems, standardization, and sustainable environment. I would like to express the wish of this country, Colombia, before this August Assembly, our wish to serve as a member of the Council in Group 2, which is in accordance with those states which provide facilities and services. One of the achievements, the major achievements of Colombia over the last many years has been the modernization of the international airport of El Dorado, which is located in Bogota, which has been classified as one of the busiest airports, 50 busiest airports in the entire world. So a new air traffic control tower has been installed, and the air management center of Colombia has been modernized in order to provide modernized services. At the moment, we are in the process of building a satellite airport in Bogota called El Dorado 2, which will supplement the operations of the main airport. We also are modernizing the infrastructure of 43 other airports. Colombia has standardized its aeronautical regulations. It has aligned them with the SARPs of ICAO, and is doing so as well with the ARs of Latin America as a member of the RSOOs, the Regional Safety Oversight Organizations. It also is committed to continue working in order to face the emerging priorities, for example, those involving the global flight tracking and the remotely piloted aircraft systems. In matters of safety, it has managed over the last many years achieve a zero accident rate in scheduled commercial aviation, which of course has increased the level of confidence on the part of users in the whole air transport system of Colombia. We also would like to applaud the efforts of the Secretary General in assisting states with the implementation of the ICAO trip strategy, the travel information passenger strategy, and also the transition from machine-readable passports to e-passports, and in 2015, the transition to the PKD. Colombia is a chair of CAPSCA, and it leads the initiative in the Americas with the objective of reducing the risk of propagation of communicable diseases by air and mitigating the effects of such diseases and their effect on the health of the peoples. This it does along with airports and the health services. In order to enhance its competitive edge and air connectivity, Colombia has concluded a number of air service agreements with a number of states. It has relaxed its commercial air transport policies, which has been translated to a number of transported passengers, growing by an average of 11% during the last 12 years. Colombia supports the integral approach promoted by ICAO in order to achieve a neutral carbon growth as of 2020, using a basket of measures which include technological, operational, and infrastructure improvements, sustainable alternative fuels, and the development of a global market-based measure as an added coverage mechanism. Colombia, as a member of LACAC, has played a leadership role in the region of Latin America by promoting cooperation and assistance and by sharing its expertise and knowledge in the fields of safety and security and environmental protection. This experience could contribute to the strengthening of the work of the Council of ICAO. And Colombia is actually a candidate to occupy the chair of LACAC for the years 2016 to 2018. It's in our interest to strengthen the relationship with our relationships with the various regional commissions involved in civil aviation, to continue working with the other members of this organization in promoting capacity and efficiency of air navigation, safety, security, facilitation, economic development of air transport, and environmental protection. To that end, we would like to thank all the member states of ICAO for their valuable support of the candidature of Colombia as a member of the Council of this organization. Last but not least, we would like to inform all these delegations how pleased we are as a Colombian people to inform you that as of 26th of September, the government of Colombia did sign with the FARC insurgents an agreement, a peace agreement, which will finally put an end to the conflict that has stretched over a period of 52 years and allow us to further our development. This new reality will allow us to expand not only our aeronautical horizons, but also to consolidate as a country which is friendly and tourist-oriented. Thank you to the hosts, thank you to the guarantors, thank you to all those who, in one way or another, have worked to provide this better climate during our tough negotiations. Thank you to Cuba, Norway, Chile, Venezuela, and all those other countries who supported us, including this organization and other organizations of the United Nations, the European Union. We are immensely grateful to you all. Thank you for your attention, and we bid you great success.
Thank you. Thank you, Colombia. We have Brunei Darussalam next.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. President of the Assembly, Mr. President of the ICAO Council, Madam Secretary General of ICAO, Excellencies and distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of Brunei Darussalam, it is our great pleasure to join member states at the 39th session of the ICAO Assembly. First of all, we'd like to congratulate Dato' Azharuddin Rahman, Director General of Civil Aviation Malaysia, for his election as the President of this Assembly, Dr. Aliu, President of ICAO Council, for his work in the Council, and Dr. Liu, Secretary General, for her efforts in driving forward ICAO initiative. We look forward to giving our continued cooperation to the success of this Assembly. It is Brunei Darussalam aviation vision to provide safe, secure, efficient, and sustainable air transport with reliable connectivity and comfortability that meets the international standards. We have also identified air transport as one of the drivers for our economic diversification efforts. I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm Brunei Darussalam's continuous support and commitment to the work of ICAO toward achieving sustainable growth of the global civil aviation system. ICAO has given us guidance in terms of developing standards and recommendations. This is where we continue to improve our aviation safety and navigation capacity and efficiency, security and facilitation, as well as environmental protection. Please allow me to offer our support to ICAO initiative of No Country Left Behind, which assists member states to improve their air connectivity and access to global aviation system. An increase in connectivity spurs tourism and trade, creates jobs, and generates numerous economic benefits, supporting poverty eradication. This growth subsequently feeds into aviation reinvestment, creating a sustainable and healthy cycle of national aviation reinvestment, creating a sustainable and healthy cycle of national aviation and economic development. No Country Left Behind initiative is also in line with the recently adopted United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and supports member states in enhancing their civil aviation system. Thus, towards supporting this concept initiative, there is a need to collaborate and cooperate in obtaining competent human resource, among others, which is a common challenge to small states, including us. The No Country Left Behind initiative also calls for the provision of more direct assistance and capacity building for developing countries towards the effective implementation of ICAO standards and recommendations, while helping to generate the political will needed to states to pool resources, participate in regional efforts, and building capacity. Brunei Darussalam looks forward to implementation of this initiative towards achieving our aviation vision. Please allow me to also share some national initiatives currently undertaken by Brunei Darussalam following the ICAO Universal Safety Oversight Audit Program and Universal Security Audit Program audits in 2007 and 2012, respectively. We have since taken corrective action to meet the audit recommendations, among others, such as amending our existing domestic laws and regulations, organizational structuring, and administrative requirement, as well as the establishment of an independent aircraft accident and incident investigation unit. We see this audit mechanism as a way of helping member states to identify gaps with improvements to further secure our aviation industry. Brunei Darussalam is looking forward to working with ICAO on the upcoming audit. In June 2015, Brunei International Airport completed its terminal modernization program with the objective of improving passenger travel and public convenience. This modernization program now contributes to doubling our passenger terminal capacity from 1.5 million to 3 million annually. In March 2016, Brunei International Airport further completed the upgrading program of its communication, navigation, surveillance, and air traffic management system. With this new system, its capabilities have been enhanced, increasing efficiency and effectiveness while maintaining a high level of safety in air navigation. This upgrading is part of Brunei Darussalam initiatives to meet the objective of the ICAO Global Aviation Navigation Plan. In conclusion, please allow me to extend our sincere wishes for the successful and fruitful outcome of this assembly. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Brunei Darussalam. I give the floor to Cuba. Cuba next.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, President. First of all, our delegation would like to congratulate you for having been elected as President of the 39th ICAO Assembly. Distinguished President of the Council and Distinguished Secretary General, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Cuban delegation, I would like to pass on warm wishes from our civil aviation sector. The Republic of Kublai is very much a founding member of ICAO and has respected the ICAO Convention and the obligations that flow from this convention. The development of civil aviation has shown that it is extremely important for the contracting states to support the mission of ICAO in its functions, and we have to strengthen its authority. A country is consolidating the efforts that have been made to prevent incidents and accidents and to strengthen oversight for operational safety and also to comply with the aeronautical regulations. And we are having a proactive development of different methods when it comes to the functioning of the safety, air navigation safety providers and also the operators of airports. Estimated dear delegates, this year we received the ANC member, which allowed us to put forward the plans that we are developing in our small developing countries and how we're dealing with our difficulties in order to have sustainable development of civil aviation. And this visit allowed us to have fruitful results and exchange of discussions. For decades, Cuba has contributed to international cooperation in terms of international civil aviation and aviation safety, thanks to the participation of auditors and experts and instructors within the framework of the different programs that have been developed by ICAO at a global level. in August 2015, our state underwent a security audit which was based on the documentation, and we obtained satisfactory results according to the parameters of USAP with the CMA approach. President, ladies and gentlemen, within the scope of this cooperation and understanding and wanting to have a harmonious finding of solutions for dealing with international civil aviation challenges, Cuba would like to reiterate before this assembly that we would like to very much say that we want to have sustainable development, and this is very difficult because of the maintenance of this economic, commercial and financial blockade which is being imposed upon us by another contracting state of ICAO, namely the United States of America. And this goes against the objectives and the spirit of the organization, and it violates what is actually established in Article 44 and 76 and 79 of the ICAO Convention. And there has been re-establishment of diplomatic relations between both countries, and this means that we've been able to increase the exchanges and the visits between the two countries in terms of safety and security. And there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed for airports, and there has been this initiative to develop these relationships once again, but the blockade has still remained intact, and we should not underestimate the scope nor the effect of the application of this blockade, in particular its extraterritorial nature. And we can find this in the working paper 343, which will be presented in the Economic Commission later. President, delegates, more than ever, the consequences of terrorist attacks involving international civil aviation are very much occupying the minds of member states. In October, it would be 40 years since there was the full destruction in full flight of a Cuban aeroplane with 73 people on board. The investigations have shown that this was actually an act of terrorism that occurred. And with this horrendous crime, we unanimously approved the resolution A22 which said that countries need to very much prosecute the criminals who have committed these acts so that the sanctions actually correspond with the magnitude of the crime committed and constitute a dissuasive example for further cases, to stop further cases occurring. But one of the main authors of this international terrorist act is actually still on the run and free and is not behind bars. In the light of the events that we've undergone the last few months, the resolution 22.5 remains very much in force. Distinguished member states represented here in the Assembly, we're going to have busy days ahead of us, and our hard work means that we need to approve resolutions that will reinforce the objectives of the organization and will promote the efficient and gradual and safe and orderly development of international air transport, to put ICAO on a solid basis so that we can have opportunities for everyone. Cuba hopes to be elected to the Council of the ICAO under Part 3 and will very much ratify its responsibilities, and with its this position, it will very much follow through on its commitments in terms of international civil aviation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cuba. South Sudan.
Mr. President of the Assembly, Mr. President of the ICAO, Madam Secretary General of the ICAO, allow me, on behalf of my delegation and my country, the young Republic of South Sudan, to present to you our salutations and appreciation for the holding of this 39th General Assembly session of the International Civil Aviation Organization in Montreal, Canada. We are grateful to be part of this important gathering of ICAO. It presents a great opportunity for us to participate and be heard by this gathering of distinguished delegates. We hope to greatly benefit from the discussions and progress reports that will be presented by the various committees of the different activities of the organization and the experiences of the other contracting states. Mr. President, the Republic of South Sudan became a full member of this organization nearly 5 years ago, when it acceded to the Chicago Convention of 1944 on the 10th of November 2011. This is the third time that we are attending the ICAO Assembly. As a contracting member state of ICAO, my country is acutely aware of our obligations under the Convention, particularly as relating to the implementation of the safety standards over airspace in accordance with ICAO standards and recommended practices. However, since the period before South Sudan's independence and up to now, the Republic of Sudan continues to manage the airspace of South Sudan under Khartoum Flight Information Region. Recently, South Sudan and the Republic of Sudan finalized discussions on the 10th of August in Nairobi, Kenya, and reached a high-level agreement for the continued management of the South Sudan airspace by Sudan for a period of 3 years or less, within which Sudan commits to provide navigation, communication, and surveillance capacity to South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority. This is to ensure effective and efficient management of the airspace. This agreement was reached under the auspices of ICAO regional offices and the headquarters as well. The agreement has been approved by the government of South Sudan and will be officially signed by the representatives of the two countries very soon. The two countries have committed themselves to cooperate closely with each other in all matters relating to the optimal restructuring of the Khartoum Flight Information Region and to decide their responsibilities and obligations under the Convention, particularly with respect to air traffic management and all related matters. This agreement between the two countries, which will be overseen by ICAO headquarters, no doubt will expedite the restructuring of Khartoum Flight Information Region, as well as the delineation and demarcation of South Sudan airspace and its eventual separation from Khartoum Flight Information Region. In this respect, we are very grateful and appreciative of the role played by ICAO regional offices in Nairobi in facilitating the discussions between my country and the Republic of Sudan. Mr. President, we are particularly also thankful to Mr. Barry Kashambo, the Regional Director of the East and Southern Africa Office, and his entire team in Nairobi for assisting us in all our discussions. We are equally thankful to Mr. Chris Dalton from ICAO headquarters for his tireless efforts on behalf of ICAO in assisting the delegations of our two countries to reach a common understanding of our international obligations as sovereign states and signatories to the Chicago Convention. It is our hope that by January next year, the final delineation of Khartoum-Juba flight information boundary will be completed, and my country prepares now to take full responsibility and control of our airspace. Mr. President, I cannot end this brief statement without highlighting some of the challenges that my country is grappling with in our efforts to build a sustainable civil aviation sector. The following are some of the immediate challenges on which we aspire for technical support in the spirit of the ICAO initiative of No Country is Left Behind. Some of these include lack of capacity in issuing aeronautical publications. Also, we have limited national capacity to conduct registration of aircraft for our national registry. We also have limited competence to issue air operation certificates to national airlines. More than that, we have limited infrastructure for air navigation services, the ATM CNS systems. We also in need of training in the area of aeronautical fixed telecommunication network, FTN. ATM services, training, and simulation systems are also not available. We also would look for support in the training of personnel in airport management as well as what happened? Limited air ground infrastructure and system services. Also in the area of training of national inspectors and instructors in aviation security. We also do lack training of, we would like to have training of national inspectors in airworthiness. Finally, we have also some difficulties in management of the cargo, particularly dangerous goods, through our airports. In terms of efforts that the government has made since 2012, we have enacted legislation for the establishment of South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority. The authority is now functional, although it is still in a very formative stage. Two, we extended the Juba International Airport runway from 2,400 meters to 3,100 meters in length, and from 44 meters to 60 meters in width, with appropriate navigation aids and approaching light system. Third, we're working to complete construction of a new passengers terminal building at Juba International Airport, of which 95% of which has been completed. Fourth, we have trained 20 air traffic controllers and other personnel through the help of the United Nations mission in South Sudan. Finally, Mr. Chairman, we are urging ICAO and all those member states that have the ability to assist us to come to our assistance so that South Sudan is not left behind. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, South Sudan. Still, a number of states would like to have a statement. We have a situation here of Zimbabwe, Samoa, United Republic of Tanzania, Israel, Ukraine, and United Arab Emirates. And all of these states would like to make a statement today. I can compromise on this, provided all the states, to very brief, keep it to the 5 minutes as allocated to you. And if we could do it by 12:30, then the technicians should be able to Okay, translators, if you can bear with us for another 5 minutes or 12:15, 12:20. So we go for Zimbabwe. Please be brave, Zimbabwe. I can give you the floor now.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the Zimbabwean delegation, I would like to congratulate you for being elected President of this Assembly. In the interest of time, Mr. President, it is my privilege and honor to address you today on the occasion of this 39th session of the ICAO Assembly. I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm the support of government of Zimbabwe for ICAO's programs aimed at establishing a safe, secure, orderly, and sustainable international air transport system. We appreciate the role ICAO is playing in developing appropriate policies for the harmonization of the global civil aviation systems. The Zimbabwe government remains committed to fulfill its obligations, including compliance with state standards and practices, regular contributions to the ICAO budget, and acting on findings of the ICAO safety and security audits. Following the last universal safety oversight audit that was conducted by ICAO in 2010, Zimbabwe has promulgated a bill which aims at separating aviation operations from the regulatory functions. The government of Zimbabwe appreciates the role that aviation plays in promoting tourism and trade. We therefore continue to make efforts to enhance the role of aviation in promoting economic development through airport infrastructure upgrades. The most notable is the new Victoria Falls International and harmonize aviation security operations throughout the world, being adopted in agriculture, wildlife conservation, and search and rescue operations, amongst several other civil activities. This therefore calls for a single set of universally acceptable regulations to ensure the safe use of such innovations. In this regard, Zimbabwe urges ICAO to prioritize the development of provisions to support the establishment of the legal framework for the operation of remotely piloted aircraft systems in ICAO contracting states. Zimbabwe appreciates the role of regional safety oversight organizations in improving state oversight systems and the effective implementation of ICAO safety standards and the recommended practices. We therefore endorse the recommendations of the 2015 High-Level Safety Conference, calling for additional support to be channeled towards the regional safety oversight organizations in developing regions. Zimbabwe also endorses the recommendation calling for the establishment of by ICAO of a database for safety recommendations of global concern. In air transport, Zimbabwe requests ICAO to continue to support African air transport liberalization programs that are being undertaken under the auspices of the African Civil Aviation Commission, AFCAC. Distinguished delegates, the many economic benefits derived from air transport come at the expense of the environment. As member states, we have a shared responsibility of striking a balance between air transport development and environmental protection. Zimbabwe is fully behind ICAO's efforts with regard to protecting the environment against aircraft noise and engine emissions, as well as tackling climate change in collaboration with the United Nations agencies. We concur with the view that there is need to ensure wider representation and participation in the development, consideration, and recommendation of standards and recommended practices and procedures for air navigation services. Zimbabwe therefore supports proposals to amend Article 50A and 56 of the Chicago Convention so as to increase the size of the membership of the Council and the Air Navigation Commission, respectively. I conclude my address by reassuring this Assembly of our dedication and commitment to ICAO's strategic objectives and of our total support of all initiatives that are intended to achieve them. I thank you.
Thank you, Zimbabwe. Samoa?
Before I embark on my country's 5-minute or less statement, please allow me first to congratulate you on your leadership role as President of this 39th ICAO Assembly. President of the Assembly, Mr. President of the Council, Madam Secretary General of the Council and members, honorable members of the Council, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates and observers, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my government and the people of Samoa, I extend warm greetings to this eminent gathering of the 39th ICAO General Assembly, convened here in this lovely city of Montreal. Truly, stories of this magnificent city does not do justice to its actual beauty, scenery, and the warm hospitality of its people. As Minister of Works, Transport, and Infrastructure, it is my humble duty to relay and voice my government's support of the International Civil Aviation Organization's, ICAO's, continuing endeavors to make global international aviation a safe, secure, and environmentally friendly industry through tried and tested initiatives, policies, standards, and practices. This is aptly demonstrated by ICAO's No Country Left Behind initiative, where its positive effect is appreciated by resource-constrained small island states of the Pacific, such as Samoa. In our efforts to implement ICAO standards and recommended practices SARPs, with Samoa very much dependent on trade and tourism-related revenues. Safe, secure, and reliable air transport assumes a significant and crucial role to our country's economic development. With limited resources, Pacific small island states struggle to comply the best of times with ICAO's standards and recommended practices. However, thanks to all our development donor partners who kindly assisted Samoa in the improvements of its aviation and airport safety and security equipment, infrastructures, and human capacity development. The World Bank's Pacific Aviation Investment Program, PAIP, is one such donor initiative that is benefiting Samoa at present. Other Pacific Island states, as well as El Paso, are benefiting from the PAIP, with the program likely to continue over the next 2 to 3 years. Samoa is in support of the continuation of combined ICAO and PASO interactions through capacity building and technical and knowledge sharing. We urge ICAO to support Pacific small island states in the implementation of their state safety programs, state performance-based navigation plans, and CAP benchmarking their state aviation safety block upgrades initiatives. In conclusion, the UN Small Island Development States SIDS meeting that took place in Samoa in September 2014 was a resounding success for climate change mitigation initiatives for our vulnerable Pacific small island states. A lot has happened with climate change since the last ICAO Assembly in 2013. As a result of the UN SIDS meeting in my country, a SIDS accelerated modality of action Samoa pathway to mitigate climate change has been mapped out, and plans are in place for a follow-up meeting in December 2016 in Samoa. In terms of aviation emissions, Samoa is concerned with the use of the gross national income, GNI per capita, as a criterion to phase in states for their carbon market-based measures, CMPM. We believe the use of GNI per capita and other per capita criterion, such as emissions per capita or revenue ton kilometer per capita for differentiation, would unfairly penalize small island development states because of their small population size. It unfairly skews and inflates the carbon scale of SIDS small populations, even though they may have smaller aviation sectors. This results in a disproportionately heavier burden on SIDS, who rely heavily on international aviation as an important channel for the supply of resources and as the main driver for trade and tourism to support the country's economy. In this regard, Samoa does not support the use of GNI per capita and any per capita metric for purposes of differentiation, and therefore strongly advocates an alternative based on the use of RTGA, revenue ton kilometer metric. Mr. President, this is my first ICAO Assembly, and hopefully not my last, and I thank you for inviting Samoa to attend. I pray that our Heavenly Father will bless and watch over and guide the deliberations of this Assembly for its success. I would also like to take this opportunity on behalf of my delegation to express our sincere appreciation to the people and the city of Montreal for continuing to host our ICAO headquarters and our triennial assembly. Mr. President, honorable members of the Council, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention. Soifua and God bless.
Thank you, Samoa, United Republic of Tanzania.
Mr. President of the Assembly, President of the Council, Secretary General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege to address the 39th session of the ICAO Assembly today. On behalf of the Government of the United Republic of Tanzania and my delegation, I wish to express my appreciation and sincere thanks to you, Mr. President, for availing me this opportunity to address this very important global aviation community, and more importantly, I would like to congratulate you for your election as the President of the Assembly. I also wish to register my appreciation to the government and people of Canada, in particular the Canadian Transport Ministry and His Worship the Mayor of Montreal, for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival on the 25th September 2016 in this very beautiful city of Montreal, and also for hosting this important global aviation meeting. Mr. President, please allow me as well to convey to you, the President of the Council and the Secretary General, special greetings from the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, my President, His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, to wish you and the Assembly fruitful deliberations for a better aviation regime in this world. Mr. President, the United Republic of Tanzania, as an active contracting member state of ICAO, supports the vision of ICAO of safe, secure, and sustainable development of civil aviation through cooperation of its member states. It is committed to the ICAO core objectives in sustaining the highest achievable levels of safety, security, environmental protection, and sustainable development of our air transport. To this end, the United Republic of Tanzania contributes to these objectives by participating in ICAO initiatives, including being in the forefront participation in ICAO safety and security audits since their inception. Tanzania supports and actively participates in ICAO initiatives applicable to the region, including African Indian Ocean Planning and Implementation Region Group and the African Indian Ocean Regional Aviation Safety Group. It is also promotes and has supported the regional approach by being the founder member of the established East African Community Civil Aviation Safety and Security Oversight Agency, and actively supports and participates in the newly established SADC Safety Aviation Organization. Recognizing the importance of developing human capacity in aviation, Tanzania Civil Aviation Authority operates a civil aviation training center, which was registered under the ICAO Train Air since the year 2005, and it is currently an associate member of ICAO Train Air Plus, providing specialized training in aviation. The center is available for use by the Tanzanian aviation industry and also other contracting states, particularly from Africa. Mr. President, in order to support the air transport growth and position, Tanzania, in supporting effectively and growing air transport market, the government has embarked on a number of projects to improve airports infrastructure. Some of these projects include a new airport which has been constructed in Mbeya, Songwe International Airport, to cater for international traffic for horticultural and mining trade, construction of a new state-of-art passenger terminal 3 at Julius Nyerere International Airport in Dar es Salaam, and construction of a new passenger terminal and rehabilitation and extension of taxiways and aprons at Abeid Amani Karume International Airport in Zanzibar, also upgrading of pavements at Kilimanjaro International Airport, and modernizing several domestic airports. Tanzania is working as part of the global initiatives in modernizing its air traffic management and air navigation facilities by implementing a number of projects. New area navigation routes have been developed for efficiency and fuel saving, as well as reduction of emissions for environmental protection. Tanzania has developed for Dar es Salaam, Zanzibar, and Kilimanjaro airports standard arrival routes, and is working on the same for Arusha, Mwanza, and Songwe airports. In implementing performance-based navigation, Tanzania has installed automatic surveillance, broadcasting facilities to cover, in the first phase, the eastern part of the Dar es Salaam flight information region. Tanzania is also implementing a program to improve communication systems between ground and air using very small aperture terminal. VSAT. In liberalization of air transport, Tanzania, within the East African Community and SADC, is working with its counterparts within the framework of the Yamoussoukro decision to liberalize the international or interstate operations, and in particular for East African Community as part of the common market it is providing or moving towards the destination of air transport services. The United Republic of Tanzania has concluded bilateral air services agreements with a total of 60 countries, some of which are open skies agreements. Mr. President, in conclusion, may I assure the world aviation community represented here today of Tanzania's full commitment to protect civil aviation against acts of unlawful interference that threatens lives of passengers and crew, the safety of aircraft, airports, or other facilities related to civil aviation. In this regard, the United Republic of Tanzania has ratified a majority of the international instruments applicable to international civil aviation and continues working towards ratification of the remaining conventions and protocols. Mr. President, finally allow me once again on behalf of my delegation to thank you and wish the Assembly every success in its deliberations. Asante sana, that is Kiswahili for thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Israel.
Mr. President of the Assembly, Ministers of Transport and heads of delegations, distinguished delegates, it is my great honor to be with you here today at the 39th session of the ICAO Assembly. On behalf of the delegation of Israel, I would like to thank the President of the Council of the ICAO, the Secretary General of the ICAO, and the Government of Canada for the hospitality and efforts to hold this important event, and wish all of us a successful session. I would like to thank the dozens of delegates who expressed their grief and sorrow on the passing away of Shimon Peres, the 9th President of the State of Israel. Among the many roles Mr. Peres held over his 70-year-long public service career, was Minister of Transport between 1917 and 1974. As one of the founders of our young state who devoted his entire life to promote its security, Israeli peace with its neighbors, and its place among the nations, we are committed to continue his legacy. May he rest in peace. Israel joined the ICAO in 1945, 5 years after the inception of the organization, and only 1 year after its birth of nation. Aviation has always been a crucial and a strategic lifeline of our country and a major international gateway for people and goods. The last decade has seen significant growth in the international air traffic and from Israel, reaching almost twice the global average growth in the last 3 years since the signing of the Open Skies Agreement between Israel and Europe. Maintaining safety and efficiency of our transport system in conjunction with such intense growth is our primary goal, which can only be achieved by adherence of international standards and improvement of our air traffic management system performance. This is why during the last year, Israel has formulated and signed a comprehensive agreement with Eurocontrol and joined the EU SAFA program. This advancement, however, could not have occurred without first strengthening our oversight system foundation. Over the past 5 years, Israel has achieved significant goals in establishment of a robust regulatory framework based on ICAO standards and implementation practice. Our main achievement was the promulgation of a new air navigation law which replaced the former law. The main accomplishment paved our pace to establish modern regulations and to build effective national oversight system for civil aviation in Israel, with a valuable assistance of our colleagues from the FAA. Our major efforts were recognized by the significant progress in the level of effective implementation of international standards and concluding the USOP CMA ICVM conducted in 2014. This achievement enabled us to adopt a proactive approach and to focus on our next challenge, which is the implementation of the State Safety Program, SSP, in order to manage aviation risk more effectively. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the President of the Council for recognizing our progress in resolving our safety oversight deficiencies and awarding Israel the Council President's certificate. The State of Israel recognized the critical role of the USOP as a driver of change and contributor to the safety of international civil aviation and strongly supports ICAO efforts for a smooth transition to the continuous monitoring approach. Distinguished delegates, the aviation world is constantly changing. One of these changes is a rapidly evolving field of remotely piloted aircraft system. This creative and innovative industry challenges us as a regulator every day and in a various aspects. First, in the evolving technology, which already allows the operation of autonomous system in addition to the remotely piloted system. Second, the expanding application of this unmanned system presently by the industry. And third, the vast proliferation of this system worldwide. The successful integration of the unmanned system into the civil aviation system requires a great investment in time and efforts and close cooperation with all stakeholders. This is why Israeli full supports actively participates in the important work of the ICAO ARPAS panel and contributes from its experience and expertise to the process of establishment and new standards for unmanned system. However, not all changes are positive in nature. We are witnessing an increasing level of threat against civil aviation around the world. The past year has seen attacks against airports, airplanes, and passengers across Europe and around the world with the purpose of disturbing the lives of millions of our fellow civilians. Attacks against civil aviation are not regular terror attacks. Attacks against civil aviation will always receive special attention and greatly influence not only in the country in which the attack takes place, but also the countries that fly to that destination, in some cases the entire region. Unfortunately, Israel has been forced to accumulate experience and pioneer the development of technological solutions necessary to deal with such threats as man-pads, rocket attack against aviation infrastructure, and airport landside unlawful interference. This attack affects us all, and so demand cooperation between us all. We must be open to learn from one another, share best practice, and assist each other. The State of Israel is open to cooperation with ICAO and all member states in the field of civil aviation security, and more specifically, in the spirit of the non-country left behind. The key to our success is working together. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make an additional announcement concerning Israeli commitment to join the international efforts to fight global warming, and I therefore announce that we join the global MBM scheme on voluntary basis. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Israel. I have two more: Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, and we have to finish by 12:30. The technician have to redesign or to make this room, to split this room into two. Ukraine, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Dear President, dear Assembly participants, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Ukrainian delegation. Taking this opportunity, I would like to pledge my country's commitment to the principles and traditions of ICAO and briefly inform you on the current state of the development of the civil aviation in Ukraine, as well as its contribution to ICAO activity. First of all, I would like to know that during the past 3 years, the aviation transport in Ukraine has been adversely affected by the political situation. Temporary occupation of Ukrainian territories, specifically the Autonomic Republic of Crimea, by Russian Federation, caused airports of the Crimea to be out of effective control of Ukraine. Consequently, the number of flights in the airspace of the state has significantly reduced. Unfounded actions of the aggressor state have led to the complete cease of the air traffic between our countries. It is also worth noting that such actions of the Russian Federation contradicts the General Assembly of the United Nations resolution as of 27th of March 2014 on the territorial integrity of Ukraine, which calls upon all states, international organizations, and specialized agencies not to recognize any alternation of the status of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea and the city of Sevastopol, and to refrain from any actions or dealing that might be interpreted as recognition of such altered status. We focus integration to the civil aviation into the European Common Aviation Area. The Common Aviation Area Agreement was initiated in Vilnius on November 28, 2013. The agreement provides for consolidation of air transport market of Ukraine and the European Union, will support more effective use of air transport market, improve quality of services, and develop the transit capacity of Ukraine. We expect the signing of the agreement in the nearest future. The Open Sky Agreement was signed between Ukraine and the United States of America on July 14, 2015. Under the new agreement, no restrictions on the number of air carriers and the volume of traffic, as well as geography of flights, shall apply. Conclusion of the above agreements became possible especially due to the fact that on September 2013, Ukraine was recognized by FFA as a Category 1 country. Following the audit carried out by FFA, it was determined that Ukraine fully meets ICAO standards. It should be mentioned that in 2016, the State Airport Development Program, 4 years up to 2023, was adopted. It aimed to ensuring sustainable development of the aviation industry, bringing the air transport infrastructure in line with international standards, and providing Ukraine's gain the transit status due to its distant geographic location. New social and political circumstances in our country have upgraded priority and significance of the aviation security issues. Currently, the more important task for aviation in Ukraine is to assist operation in risk management during flight operations in conflict zones. For time being, 28 operators consistently work in the countries near or within conflict zones, thus running associated risk. Yet, 4 more operators perform the activities in the countries which risks are higher than normal. Due to the specific character of flights operations and airworks, the Civil Aviation Authority of Ukraine provided control of operations aviation security based on the risk assessment system implemented in line 19th. The new version of the State Aviation Security Program is expected to be adopted by Ukrainian Parliament by the end of 2016. As recent event of unlawful interference attacks and the threats to civil aviation remained impressive. Such acts took place in different regions of the world during the last years, in particular, Metrojet Flight 9268, Dal Airlines Flight 3159, attacks in Brussels Airport and Ataturk Airport in 2016. Ukraine, for more than 2 years, continuously faces the acts of covert aggressions, including the horrible downing of Malaysia Airplane 17 in 2014. Ukraine expresses its deep sympathy and condolences to the families of the victims, as well as to the countries whose citizens were on the board. Ukraine has delegated its right on investigation of MH17 crash to Netherlands and was all time sure in correctness of this decision. The results of joint investigation, included those which were published recently, again confirm the high level and quality of the work of our colleagues. We highly appreciate ICAO's efforts towards safer sky in all over the world, and in elaboration of distinct provisions regarding conflict zones in particular. At the same time, we consider it important to strengthen the role and power of ICAO in enhancing of the global aviation safety and security. We strongly believe only joint efforts of all stakeholders can lead to necessary improvement. This prompts us to further development of new security methods, taking into account the human factor, new aviation security programs relating to air traffic control, and civil-military coordination with a view of make airspace safe for civil flights in case of armed conflict or potential armed conflict. Following the temporary occupation of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, starting from April 2014, Russian Federation, through the publication of aeronautic information by AIS of Russian Federation, is trying to declare in unilateral manner the right for provision of air navigation services within the Simferopol FIR. Such aeronautic information publications has a potential negative impact on safety and contradicts the Convention of International Civil Aviation and its annexes, in particular 15th and 11th annexes, as well as ICAO documents.
Ukraine,
the responsibility for air traffic services in the high seas and
Ukraine, if possible, can you conclude your statement, because I need UAE to do their statement next.
Okay. We would like also to mention that currently Ukraine is performing all the actions in order to improve the surveillance systems. In particular, we have entered into the exchange agreement with Romania and Moldova. Currently, we are working on relations with Turkey, in particular on the radar data sharing concept. Also, Ukraine takes an active position in the development of regional cooperation with the countries in the Black Sea and Caspian regions, in particular through the supporting of ICAO Council single candidate Turkey. We believe that such profound regional cooperation will boost the national air navigation system, make provision of ATS in the international airspace by the contracting states even more reliable and seamless. As a conclusion, I wanted to say that Ukraine, in years ahead, we are ready to widen the international cooperation, provide ICAO the necessary resources and mainly experts to address future challenges of the organization. I would like to thank all the members of the Assembly, the President, and to wish everybody a good and fruitful work during the next days. Thank you.
Okay, the last statement of the day, United Arab Emirates, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. السيد
Thank you, Mr. President, Chair of this conference, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and delegates. May God be with you. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you some of the progress made in the United Arab Emirates in civil aviation over the last few years. I would like to share with you whatever we have put into our support of ICAO and the member states in light of the fact that we're fully aware of the importance of cooperation and coordination in order to achieve the required levels of safety and security. The UAE, at the beginning of this year, held the first international conference to organize the relationship between space activities and civil aviation within the Airspace Bureau of the UN in order to provide for the development of space travel. In 2015, the UAE received the highest results subsequent to the USOP audit, 88.8%. We set a record in the organization. In 2016, we also had a great result subsequent to the USAP audit. So the marks were fantastic. As of now, the UAE have concluded air service agreements with 126 member states of ICAO in 2015. The UAE airports welcomed over 10 million passengers. They also supported the member states of ICAO in the form of over 2,000 training fellowships. I also am very pleased to today share with you a whole number of new initiatives adopted by the government of my country involving international civil aviation and under the aegis of ICAO. Let me quote. First of all, the Civil Aviation Prize. These prizes will be given at the time of the next assembly in 2019. So this is a new award established in our country. It is aimed to compensate and to pay tribute to the contributions of civil aviation, and there will be respective prizes. We also have organized workshops on cybersecurity in Dubai April 2017, we'll have a summit on cybersecurity, which will be aimed at developing measures to protect aeronautical networks and promote safety. We also will have a world drone show in 2019. This show will bring together stakeholders, manufacturers, regulators, the monitoring authorities, and this will strengthen sustainable development. We also have established a specialized institution under the Civil Aviation Authority, IACT. And this institution, IACT, will provide training services. It will be a technical advisory body, and this will involve civil aviation, and you can inform yourself of this institution. We have a display in the hall outside. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, and in the light of the importance of those issues which are before the Assembly, in particular, all the environmental issues, I would like to inform you that the UAE supports and pays tribute to ICAO's efforts in setting up the market-based measure system. We would like to inform you that UAE is prepared to take the necessary measures immediately once phase 1 has been launched. I also would like to remind you that UAE will continue to support an air transport regime which is safe and sustainable. Our participation on the Council has always been efficient. We support international civil aviation along with its member states, and for these reasons, we hope that you will re-elect us under Part 3 of the Council during the upcoming elections. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Shukran, United Arab Emirates. Thank you, everyone. Just to remind you, this room will be split into two. It will be conference room 1 for Executive Committee. It will now resume at 2:30 p.m. And also conference room 2, the Legal Commission will start at 2:30 as well. Economic Commission Conference Room 3 on the first floor. That will be at 2:30 as well. Please be reminded that all delegates, you must clear all your belongings, all your books, manuals, whatever. You please do not leave anything behind, because this room will be redesigned for 2 rooms, 2 conference rooms. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good lunch. We see you at 2:30 p.m. Thank you. Thank you to the translators as well for staying back with us. Thank you.